Goes from the satellite. I'm Karen. This episode, I'm going to talk to you about a trip that I took recently. I went up north to Bend, Oregon. And if you haven't been to Bend, Oregon, I highly recommend it. It's a very beautiful place, very green, lush. It's the high desert region of Oregon. But despite that, it has a river winding through it, the Deschutes River, and it's a beautiful place. But this is a booktube channel, so I'm not going to talk about all of the wonderful landscape there. I'm going to talk about the bookstores there because, of course, that was what was on my mind, besides visiting family. And so I was able to visit 3 bookstores while I was in Bend. 2 of them in the downtown area and one a little bit outside of it. I was really interested to see if going to another place, I live in Arizona, so going to another place completely outside my state, if I would see different authors, different books, just what I would find in these bookstores, and if I could maybe find some things I've been looking for a while. So let's jump into it. The first 2 stores that I visited were in downtown Bend. Downtown Bend is pretty cool. There's a lot of different shops there. And the 2 bookstores that I went to in downtown Bend were Pegasus and Dudley's Bookshop Cafe. So we'll start with Pegasus first. Pegasus is really neat. Pegasus not only has a lot of different books, different genres. They also had comics and graphic novels, and it had a very cool vibe. Now, I will say before I get into all of the books, I will say that the one thing I noticed about all of these bookstores is that they didn't have a ton of used books. Shopping here in Arizona and specifically the Phoenix area, the bookstores that I go to, some have new books, but a lot of the bookstores I go to are primarily used books. And the used books that I find typically pay somewhere between $2 to $5, but easily in like that $3 range for most of the books I pick up. I was told by family when visiting there that a lot of the used books are on the higher price range, and this was true when I visited these shops, and most of the books were new books. So with that in mind, I'll show you what I got. When I went into Pegasus, I picked up 2 books there. This one I was quite excited to find. This is The Dying Earth by Jack Vance, and this whopping huge brick of a book has 4 stories in it by Jack Vance, all in his Dying Earth milieu. It has The Dying Earth, The Eyes of the Overworld, Kujal Saga, and Rialto the Marvelous. And so these all take place in sort of his fantasy world. And the reason I really wanted to pick this up, there's a couple of reasons. One is I have been reading this book, Playing at the World by John Peterson. This is volume 2. If any of you saw the first episode I made for my booktube, I was reading John Peterson's volume 1 of Playing at the World. Both books look at how Dungeons and Dragons was created, all the things that happened to sort of serendipitously create Dungeons and Dragons. And in this second book, they've been talking a lot about all of the fantasy authors and stories that inspired D&D. And Jack Vance is very prominent amongst those authors. And I will say around here, I don't see any Jack Vance. That's an author I look for, and I just have never been able to find. So being able to find this book was a big score for me. So I'm excited to dive into it. And they say that Vance really influenced the magic system in D&D. So I'm curious to see what that looks like in his stories. The second book that I picked up at Pegasus was the third book in John Christopher's Tripod series, The Pool of Fire. So I read this series many times. I had it as a kid, and at some point, I lost those books. Now, I should say I have been trying to fill in that series, and unfortunately, I don't have like a complete series all in one style or brand, right? So I've got all these books now that are in different styles, but no complete set. And this version right here, which let's see, what year is this one? This version we're looking at here is 1980. This is the one I had all three books in this style, and then they got lost somewhere. I made a lot of moves over the years. It's possible I might have sold them. It's possible they got lost. It's possible they were in the batch of books that I had that had a huge mold problem. So anyway, now at least I have all three, but they're all in different covers. So I may have to try and get one complete set. The next store I went to um, in downtown Bend was Dudley's Bookshop Cafe. So they have a essentially a coffee shop in the bottom floor with some books down there, and then they have a lot of books upstairs, and it's a pretty nice place. But again, almost all new books. So I only picked up one book there. This is the book that I got, Elric, Sailor in the Seas of Fate, Michael Moorcock. And I said to myself, I'm pretty sure, I think I have Sailor in the Seas of Fate. I'm not sure. Um, well, I did have it. I already had it in this version. But this version also has several other short stories in it. So besides Sailor on the Seas of Fate, it has The Dreaming City, Portrait in Ivory, While the Gods Laugh, The Singing Citadel, and it has a really cool map in it as well. So on one hand, maybe I double bought, but I don't regret it. It's a nice version, but it does make me realize that I probably need to start making maybe an Excel file with the books I have, or at least books that I want to get more of, like the different Elric's books. I need to maybe mark down what I have and what I don't have, so I don't double buy. Now, the next store I went to was not in downtown. We had to drive a little ways to go to, and this was Big Story Bookstore, and they have an amazing storefront painting, which I'll put up here so you can see it. Very psychedelic and quite interesting. They might have been the biggest store overall in square footage, although Dudley's has two floors, so maybe they might have been able to match them. But they had this, I think, the smallest science fiction section, just kind of one row of books. So not a lot of pickings there. They had some interesting books though, but almost all new. So some of the prices were pretty high. Um, One of the things I noticed at all three stores, there were certain books that I could have gotten by certain authors. Um, I've been wanting to get a copy of Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman, and I think this store and might have been Pegasus had copies, but they were all new, and I didn't feel like paying $25 to $30. So I'm going to wait till I can find it used. Another thing I noticed was that um, these stores tended to have a lot of the newer more recent authors. So when I was looking for things like Stanislaw Lem or some of the other older authors, like I can't find Barry Malzberg to save my life, either here in Arizona or when I went to Oregon. I can't find Malzberg. Um, J.G. Ballard is difficult to find. Um, some of the other authors, I did find a lot of Le Guin in Bend, so that was cool. But yeah, most of these stores had newer authors. Now I did turn up at Big Story. I did find a copy of The Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton. And I'm excited about this because I think that not only did I've seen the movie, so I enjoyed the film, but I wanted to read this and also maybe do a review not only here on my YouTube channel, but with my Planet 8 podcast buddies and see if they'll do the film. And maybe we can do a crossover. So we do the book and the film. So that was my reasoning with that. And then finally, the other book that I picked up at Big Story was this book, Isaac Asimov's Magical Worlds of Fantasy #3, Cosmic Knights. So the reasoning behind this is I happen to have #1, which is Wizards. And so now I just need #2, which is Witches. So if I get all three of those, then I'll probably start diving into those books and reading them. I think it's interesting that it's edited by Asimov because I certainly wouldn't think of Asimov when I'm thinking of fantasy. But these actually have some really good authors in them. I know I talked about the authors for Wizards in my first episode. The authors we have in Cosmic Knights. Now, a few of these I haven't heard of, but we have Paul Anderson, Keith Laumer, Roger Zelazny, L. Sprague de Camp. Let's see. And then for some of the ones I haven't heard of, Vera Chapman, Daryl Schweitzer, Kenneth Graham, John T. Philippant, Evan Hunter, and Robert Young. So yeah, there are some well-known authors and then maybe some less than well-known authors, or maybe not well-known to me. So that is my Oregon book haul. It's not a huge book haul. Like I said, prices were not what I'm used to. I'm used to buying used books here, and I can, go into a store here and plunk down $20 and come out with like 6 books. And I think my total for what I spent in Oregon was like $70 or $80 for just a handful of books. So more than I'm used to spending. But it was a good trip. It was interesting seeing what they had in Oregon. Pretty much the same here, but a few different authors. Like I said, there was some Vance, there were some other books that I don't normally see. So I was glad to be able to pick up a few things. And it was great to get out of the 100+ degree weather. So that's it for right now. I'll be back hopefully soon with some other topics. And thanks for watching.